What is going on, guys? It's Matt here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about the interactive world merge that is coming August 27th. I'm a little late to this, but I thought I would make a video regardless, just to kind of have it out there, okay? And if you are unaware, I'm not going to read the entire note word for word. I'll have a link in the description down below if you want to take a look at it yourself. But pretty much, they are merging Aurora and Elysium together with Scania, and then increasing the amount of Scania channels to 30. There's going to be a lot of overflow because of this. So when it comes to like your character slots, your storage, your meso, cash op inventory, you have like a set amount of slots, and until you make like you take stuff out, you know, it'll make room for the other things basically hidden behind it, right? Guilds are fucked, right? Rip if you have the same guild name as any other, you know, server, but they're basically going to be randomly, you know, renamed, and then you'll get a chance to hopefully snag the name first, right, compared to the other servers. That's pretty much a TLDR. We're gonna have two servers now. We're gonna have New Scania, we're calling it New Scania, and Bara. And the biggest reason for this is because they believe it will help create a more balanced population, boost in-game economy, improve player interaction, all while keeping our servers stable. Okay. So again, this is happening after the summer update on August 27th. Now, let's get into it. What do I think about it? I voted for one server, right? I think having two servers for interactive is still not good enough. We kind of saw that this was coming anyways, because in the patch notes, they revised the patch notes to say that they are implementing the Maple Point tax for the auction house after the summer update on August 27th. So it is basically confirmed that there would be not one server but two servers for interactive, and it wasn't confirmed obviously until this post right here. There's going to be more news, by the way, shared by them in the near future, so this isn't everything, but this is basically a gist of what we should know right now regarding world merges, right? However, we're going to take a look at a post in just a bit. New Scania will actually be more populated and therefore be more popular than Bara moving forward, which could lead to further balancing issues, right? Given enough time, people always want to play on the server that's more popular. Chronos versus Hyperion, for example, Solus versus Luna, albeit that's like, you know, heroic and interactive. Now people might be more inclined to go play New Scania, right, when they're talking about maybe joining interactive and want to play interactive instead of Bara, leading Bara to decrease in population, which is not a good thing, right? That's something you got to think about. But the biggest thing is, like, nobody fucking wants to deal with the Maple Point tax, really. It's a nuisance, it's a hindrance. No, like, why are we being punished for interacting with other servers? You know, obviously it's just to siphon more money. Like, you have to pay meso and Maple points on top of a transaction if you want to buy something that's not in your server. And obviously people have found ways to get around this. But that's neither here nor there. Boost in-game economy. I mean, it's definitely going to boost New Scania, right? That's for sure. Improved player interaction. I think it could be improved even more if it was just one server. And keeping servers stable is something I want to just like touch upon right there. Interactive has significantly less players than heroic, significantly less than, we'll just talk about Chronos, right? Personally, I don't see there being a server stability issue in interactive, even if you were to merge all four servers together, right? And we can go over this right now. Really cool Reddit post talking about the world merge, and then we have ZOMGNIT breaking it down number-wise using MapleStory.gg as a source. And pretty much what this tells us is that when you're comparing Bera versus everything else, Bera has roughly about a 43 to 44% minority of the population compared to what is going to be New Scania, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. But it is what it is. You know, you break it down between 270s, 280, 285, and 290s. And, you know, Bera will no longer be the dominant server. And it's not so much about, like, you know, like Bera has to be the dominant server. But when we go back to their posts and they're talking about, you know, more balanced population, you know, and then keeping, like, servers stable and everything, I really don't think that it's much of an issue, right? He says here, for further comparison, Kronos has over 68,000 players, right, that are 270 plus, which is nearly 3.5 times the size of all 4 reg servers combined, right? So again, server stability seems like a very poor excuse to keep reg servers split, right? So even all that, right? Like if you were to bring Kronos into the mix, right? Kronos has server stability issues, and that's why they want you out of there and they want you in in Hyperion. But to say that, like, you know, that you will also suffer from the same issue is kind of ridiculous, right? When you look at the math here. And then he further then goes to do more of a comparison, right? And says here that Heroic has nearly 4 times as many 270 pluses as Interactive, 3 times 285s, and 2 times as many 290s. And if we look at the second chart here, it might be a little bit hard to see because I have to, like, make it smaller now. But you will see here on the right side here that at 290 at end game, Heroic commands 65%, almost 66%, right, of the player base, whereas Interactive is only 34% of the population, right? So again, going back to server stability, hate to be, you know, a broken clock, but yeah, server stability, I think, is the least of our worries, and we should focus on boosting the economy and improving player interaction. I agree with these two right here, right? That should be like the main focus. I understand there are clear disadvantages to having a big server or one server like Kronos, like, oh, there's going to be like less burning maps. Reg server doesn't have to worry about that too much because we have Firestarter servers, right? We have Firestarter rings. You know, less map availability. I can understand that. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Most reg servers are AFK, okay? Or reg server players, I should say. People grind, don't get me wrong, but like that grind culture is not as instilled as it is in Heroic, because in Heroic you have to grind to make progress, right? Like you can't get you can't get around it. You can get around it in reg server, but you can't get around it in reboot, right? In Heroic, which is why, like, if you don't grind, you're not making progress. A lot of players in Interactive are just AFK, right? And for those who do grind, besides like some key areas I could see that might be a bottleneck for map availability, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. Everything is all anecdotal at the end of the day, obviously, but personally, I don't see that as much of an issue. And if anything, they could bring back instancing, right? They should bring back instancing. What I would suggest is you merge all 4 servers together, including Bera. You increase the channel limit. Right now, it's like, I think it's 30. You give it to maybe like 40 or even 50 channels. And then instancing wise, and I'm gonna like include Heroic in here, I think instancing should increase. I think we should go away from like just 2 to 4 at the very least, and allow more players to be grinding in on the same map, because there are clear bottlenecks when it comes to certain areas in Grandis. Because you know, some maps are just better than others. Let's just be honest here, right? You know, and you're not going to want to settle for second best. You're going to want to grind in the best map. but those maps are always constantly being taken, and people are asking, oh, when are you leaving? Like, even in Bara, I see people in SR2. Is anyone leaving SR2? You know, same thing in Kronos. So that is an issue. But we can increase channel size, we can increase instancing, but then they have to figure out the frenzy situation. Frenzy didn't work with instancing. And I'm also keep it another buck, right? More bucks. But I think it would lead to like less time and resources being invested and used to figuring out making frenzy work with instancing. Like, just make it affect all instances in the map, right? So not everyone needs their own frenzy totem. Do that instead of having to worry about the Maple Point tax in the auction house that nobody fucking asked for and nobody wants. And also cross-world bossing, right? You don't have to worry about that and all the potential improbable bugs that will come with cross-world bossing. We won't have to worry about cross-world bossing, at least for the interactive side of things, right? You still might want it in heroic, but you won't have to worry about doing all of that while just having just one reg server, right? And you don't have to agree with me, and that's totally fine. I understand the value of having like multiple servers, you know, and people don't want to be all bunched up in one. But when it comes to like an MMO, when it comes to logging on the game, the thing that makes Kronos so good is because a lot of people play, right? And I want to see that on interactive. When I log on, I want to see people there. Like, I want to see people like in the map, even if they're AFK. People AFK all the time. But when I log on to like on a channel, like I go to Leafree, I go to Genesis, I'm in Talahard or Carcion or whatever. Like, I want to see people there, you know, because it makes the game feel alive. And right now, in a lot of worlds, it's not like that. You know, in Kronos for sure. Everywhere else, not really. Like, you don't really see people. You're going to think the game is dead. So that's the main thing. I guess I'm trying to get at, is like improving like player interaction. You know, I just want everyone to be together. Boss parties are extremely difficult to get together. Especially in Bara. I don't know how it's like in Scania, Elysium, and Aurora. But making boss parties, especially at an endgame level, is very difficult because, you know, you have less people, significantly less people playing on interactive compared to heroic, let alone the right classes as well. So now you're going to have like this, you know, amalgamation of a party trying to clear content, which definitely could, but you have to obviously be very strong for that, and not everyone is at that upper echelon and extremely high level, right, to be able to pull that off without having like maybe like a dedicated support or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of just like what I wanted to talk about it personally. I'm all for just one server. I want everyone be together, solve the frenzy issue, you know, when it comes to instancing, bring that back, and allow people and allow players in interactive to just play with each other without having to jump through these hoops in order to be able to do so, right? There might have been some things that I haven't like touched upon, right? Which I apologize. And if you can, you know, if you want to leave something down in the comments down below that I can respond to, by all means. But it's kind of just like what my thoughts are on the interactive merge, you know, that's coming soon. I hope that Nexon, you know, can think about this more. I'm not expecting them to just all of a sudden be like, wow, you know, like, you're right, you know. But, you know, maybe down the line, maybe like end of year or something next year, they can see after a little bit of time and actually do merge everything together rather than having two separate servers. Okay, that's just what I hope. And again, you don't got to agree with me, and that's totally fine. I respect that. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. So yeah, thank you for hearing me out. You know, thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next video.